to the Idea Exchange. In today's episode, we are talking more about depression. I'm your host, Wesp, and our guest is.
Yamkan Lekan.
Alright, welcome.
Thank you.
What is depression?
Okay, so when you talk of depression, we mean an episodic mental disorder. When you say episodic, I mean it comes and goes. So it's an episodic mental disorder which is characterized by either a persistent low mood or loss of appetite or pleasure for things which one used to like in the past for at least 2 weeks. Yeah, basically that's it.
And what are the causes of depression?
All right, so I just need to add on the definition. This persistent period of low mood and loss of pleasure or loss of appetite in the thing which you used to like normally impairs one's ability to function in their normal daily lives. Because let's say you like to go to your office to work, okay, and then you are no longer you no longer want to go there because you have lost interest in that. You like, for example, myself, I'm a doctor. What do I like in the everyday life? I need to wake up in the morning, take a shower, eat my tea, and go to the hospital. So if I'm no longer in love with my work, or if I have lost interest in my work, it means my ability to function has been destroyed. Okay?
Mm.
Yeah. Basically, that's what I wanted to add. And then you ask the question. You ask what are the causes?
Yeah.
Okay. So I cannot say there is one thing which you can point to say this thing causes depression. No, but there are some theories which have been developed, which people think they may cause depression. So what are these theories? People think there are disturbances in the brain, especially the neurotransmitters. When I say neurotransmitters, I mean chemicals which circulate in the brain and coordinate different functions of the brain cells. So when these neurotransmitters have been destroyed, let's say maybe they are producing large amounts or in smaller amounts, that's where depression comes in. I don't want to go into too details of what I want to explain here, but just understand that there are derangements in the neurotransmitters in the brain that are responsible for coordinating functionalities of the brain. So derangement in these are the ones which are responsible for depression. Yeah, basically that's it.
What are the risk factors for depression?
So risk factors, there are so many risk factors. I'll mention them one by one for you to understand. But one of the common risk factor is genetic predisposition. When I said genetic predisposition is that let's say you have your uncle, your mother, your dad, or your grandmother who had depression in their life, sometime in their life in the past. There is a risk for you to develop depression. So the closer you are to someone who had depression in the past, the higher the risk. The other risk factor is alcohol use, or I should say drug and substance use. Let's say you use alcohol or you use cannabis, you are at risk of developing depression sometime. And sometimes gender. Okay, but this one is so controversial. Some people say depression is common in girls because of heartbreaks. But you and me, let's go at the ground. Up between girls and boys, who kill themselves more, you find that they are boys. So who are more depressed? Can be boys, or it can be girls. Maybe they what they girls find mechanisms to deal with their stress. Some people say girls are the ones who are more depressed because when a girl is depressed, they speak that out. They cry. A girl can cry. A girl doesn't hide. They cry. They can cry. Ah, my boyfriend has done this. My boyfriend has done this. But when a boy is depressed, they keep it to themselves. So what do they? As a result, what do? They just you find that they have just written a letter and they kill themselves. They didn't want to share their problem with other people. So it's controversial there. And the other risk factor is presence of physical illness, especially those people who have HIV, people with cancer, people with asthma, okay, people with diabetes, people with hypertension. I should just say people with chronic illnesses. They know, let's say you have been found with cancer, which cannot be cured. What will happen? You'll be depressed. You will just be you most of the times you'll be worried. So I'm going to die. What about my children? So even a person with asthma, let's say sometimes you just have episodes of asthma from nowhere. You'll be worried kuti koma nanga asthma itakandipeza kunsika ndithera bwanji. So these people also they develop depression because of this condition. Same as people with a heart attack. If I have a heart attack now, the good thing today, I had heart attack in the presence of my family. They took me to the hospital. Let's say I'm alone and there's no one to take me to the hospital. It means I will die. So these people with life-threatening conditions, okay? So what I was trying to say, I meant people with life-threatening chronic conditions, they are at risk of developing depression because they spend a lot of time thinking about these conditions. The other risk factor is low self-esteem. Some people don't know how to handle stress. When they are stressed, they think of killing. Every time they think of, I think I just need to die. They don't even have other remedies to deal with their stress. The other things are early life experiences. Let's say you have been grown in a family whereby you are just being abused by your mother, by your father, or by your siblings. Most of the time you are worried. You can develop depression. And let's say breakups. Yeah, it's common nowadays. People say zibwenzi zamasika nsizidakuta. I have been hearing people saying that it's an example of loss. When you have lost a job, when you have lost a loved one, when you have lost a business, yeah, even when you are in a new environment, you cannot develop depression. Socioeconomic issues, yeah. Let's say your parents are not able to pay for your school fees. What are you going to do? You'll be worried. Yeah, basically, those are some of the risk factors.
What is the presentation of depression?
Clinical presentation of depression. There are so many ways how can a patient present with depression, but some of the common ones are as follows. They usually have sleep disturbances. So they can either oversleep or undersleep. Sometimes they can spend the whole night without sleeping. They're just thinking. Or maybe it has once happened to you. Maybe sometimes someone broke your heart and then you are thinking about them the whole night without sleeping. It also happens. If that situation continued, you could develop depression. And sometimes they don't even they oversleep. You see someone is going to bed at 6 up to 9 o'clock. They are still in bed. And they were not like that before. The other presentation is loss of interest. Like in the definition, I have said that they lose interest in things they used to like. It's also another presentation. Sometimes they feel guilty. I think I'm not worthy. I feel like nobody is loving me. They feel good about themselves. And sometimes they lose energy. Yeah. Or they just become weak. Why they lose the energy? Sometimes they don't like eating. So they usually have fatigue or loss of energy. Sometimes they lose concentration. You talk to them, they're not listening. You may think they're listening, but they are not. You ask them, they cannot even tell you whatever you have just said. Sometimes they lose appetite. Sometimes they lose appetite. They don't like eating. Yeah, sometimes they may be agitated or retardated. When they say they are agitated, they just act in a way like maybe they have just been charged. Okay, you talk to them, the way they're answering is as if maybe I don't know, as if you have been quarreling sometimes in the past, but no, they are depressed. Timanena kuti ukakwiya ndi mfiti. Sometimes munthu woti wakumudwa amakhala wokwiya kwambiri. Kukwiya kuja doesn't mean kuti they hate you, but something is disturbing them in their mind. And sometimes they have suicide ideations. They just think of dying. I just need to die. So if someone is telling you, I feel like I need to die, don't take it for granted. Help them immediately. Yeah. So those are clinical features.
What are the epidemiology or depression?
Epidemiology of depression. So normally depression is high prevalent in the young population, especially between 18 to 29 years. So I know you are between this age group.
Yeah.
So you are at a high risk of depression because you are just transitioning yourself from being a child to an adult. Of course, you're already an adult, but you have just entered it. So this time around, it's a time whereby you think of a lot of things in your life, especially for you girls. You think of, but am I going to get married? I think I'm going. So far, I don't have a fiance. My friends, they have fiancés, but myself, I don't even see any hope. So most of the time, you are depressed. I know about girls. Okay, so sometimes it can also happen in older populations, like the elderly. Why depression is also common in elderly? Normally they lack support. You have seen what is happening in our society to our elderly population. People beat them. People think they are witches. Yeah, people don't take care of the elder in some communities. So this one is also a risk factor for someone to develop depression. So normally depression is more common in females for obvious reasons. So yeah, people think you are the one who are mostly worried, not us. I don't know. And also it's common in urban than in rural population. Why? Why in urban than in rural population? Because here in the urban area, let's say you are at a rented house, you pay 100,000, and then that month you depend on business, and the business hasn't worked as you were expecting. Okay, you'll be worried. Someone sang a song to say, "To be a man." I hope you know that song. Danu sang that song. Okay, he was explaining things like be akufuna meshi, alenti akubwera, amabiri w'amazzi, biri y'amagesi, mwana ku sukulu. All these things are cause of stress. When you think of these at the end of the month, you can easily be depressed, especially if you don't have a good source of money. But those people who are at the villages, what do they think? We need to go to the farm. Do we have gaiwa nyumba? Do we have ndio? That's all. They don't know about the kwenda tilipine mazi, guess, and the like. And also, it's common in people with chronic illnesses, like I said, people who have cancer. You know that anytime we are dying. People who have asthma, I think anytime we can have an attack. People who have heart attack, anytime I may have heart attack while I'm alone. What will happen? I can easily die. So yeah. And also 15% of people commit suicide. Yeah, that's epidemiology basically.
Alright. What is diagnostic criteria
Okay.
of depression?
Yo. So diagnostic criteria, someone, for you to say this one I think has depression, they must have at least the following features. They need to have 5 of the following features. Either loss of like prolonged period of depression for at least 2 weeks, loss of interest, significant weight loss because of not eating properly, sleep disturbances, whether they are agitated or they are just weak, fatigue, whether they feel worthless, like no one is loving them, or the world doesn't look good for them, or whether they have lost ability to concentrate on whatever conversations people have, or if they have been having suicide ideations. Having five of these, you can clearly say, I think this person is depressed. And also, these symptoms which I have explained above, they should significantly impair one's social, economical, or occupational functionality, let's say at school or at work. And these symptoms must not be attributed to any medical condition or psychiatric conditions. And also, these symptoms must be there for at least a period of 2 weeks to say that a person has depression. Or 30, just 2 days, and then you say, I think this is depression. No, at least a period of what? 2 weeks. Yeah, that's diagnostic criteria.
What is the management?
So for you to manage a patient with depression, we use what we call biopsychosocial approach. We manage a patient depending on the presenting complaint which they brought them to hospital. Let's say they are presenting with depression. You need to treat that depression. What is causing that depression? And then you need also to treat them as in other areas of their life. For example, their psychological part, you need to treat it. Their social part, you need to treat it. So it means you are treating the person as a whole. Because if you just treat the symptoms which the patient has brought with to hospital, maybe you haven't treated the cause. I mean the risk factor. Let's say the patient has breakup. If you don't talk about this breakup, when they go home, they're going to develop another depression for the same thing because you haven't solved it. So you need to solve everything. So biologically, we give them medications. We give them antidepressants. So there are so many so many examples of antidepressants in the communities. And these antidepressants, they are also in classes, but I don't want to go deep into those classes. Just to know that they are medications which we give to patients. The common one is what we call fluoxetine. Maybe you have heard some people talking about fluoxetine. It's an example of antidepressant. Now, psychosocially, how do they treat these patients psychosocially? We need to psychoeducate them. People need to know what is happening to them. Okay, need to know what is happening to them, why is that happening, what are the causes, what are the risk factors, what is the management, and what is the prognosis. If they know, the better, because they are going to be compliant to medications you are going to give them. And also you need to do what we call cognitive behavior therapy. You need to teach them some of the ways they can challenge their negative thoughts. So one of the clinical feature of depression, which I've said, is the feeling of guilt and worthless. So if you think I think I'm not worthy to live as a human being, you should tell them to say I think I'm worthy to live. So they are managing, they are counteracting their negative thoughts, so that by the end of the day, what are they having? They have positive thoughts. And also the other way is problem solving, decision making. Those things you are learning in life skills at primary and secondary school. Yeah, you should teach them how to solve a problem, how to make decisions, because you're not going to be with them every time. They need to do this on their own, and also need to encourage family support. Yeah, family support. So basically, that's how we manage patients of depression.
Alright, then what is the prognosis of depression?
Uh, so prognosis of depression depends on whether you have identified the condition in good time or not, and whether management has been initiated in good time or not. For example, we say that depression is top 10 leading cause of disability worldwide. When I say top 10 of disability worldwide, what do I mean? People who are depressed, they are not able to function. They can't go to work. They can't chat with their family as they used to do. And they have function impairment. Okay, so it's like a lot of years are going to be lost to depression instead of using those years for productivity. So let's say myself, I'm 27 years, right? So let's say from 27 years up to 65, whereby it's a lifespan for us Africans or Malawians. From 27, maybe I'll get my degree anytime soon. Then I have a lot of years to function. Maybe close to 35 years. I need to be productive this year so that I can contribute to the development of my family, my society. Let's say I'm depressed and I'm not able to function properly. I'll be spending much of the time in a hospital, or sometimes I'll be dismissed from works. It means the years, instead of 35 years, I can be productive. Already some years will be lost to depression, admissions, and whatever. So it is among top 10 leading cause of disability worldwide. And It also reduces life expectancy to the general population. I've said that almost 15% of people with depression, they kill themselves. And you have seen in Malawi, almost 300 something, more than 300 something people have killed themselves in only 2024. So it means it's becoming worse, this condition. So it reduces life expectancy of people. People kill themselves. That's the prognosis.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.